Hello and welcome to this An Actor Thomas video, with me of course, Actor Thomas. Now today I thought I'd do a video that was going to be talking about something that I've been thinking about for a while. Now, of course, we all know that Game of Thrones is going to be coming back to our screens very soon. And of course, there is an awful lot of hype for the new series of Game of Thrones. And I fully understand that. It's a brilliant, 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 brilliant show. But do we think what has happened in the show is likely to be mirrored, or something very similar happen in the books when the author George R.R. Martin actually finishes them? Now, of course, the question is, one of the big questions I always wanted to ask is this: did Jon Snow survive? Of course, in the last book, it ends with Jon being brutally attacked and left near death by the men of the Night's Watch. But of course, in the TV show, we discover that he comes back through the help of Melisandre and things like that. And then he basically wakes up after a couple of episodes and says, "Screw this for Game of Soldiers, I'm going home, fuck the lot of you." And granted, that's, that's very true and everything like that. And he goes off and he becomes the new King of the North. The King of the North! Aye, the King of the North! And then he goes and he sorts out, Ramsay Bolton and takes back Winterfell and let's bang Daenerys. Which he does, and fair enough, that's just one of them. But the other thing that I'll know is, obviously they are in the TV show they've got rid of the young Griff storyline, all about potentially being Prince Rhaegar Targaryen's son, and obviously coming back and claiming his rightful throne as the rightful heir, which also I think would be, I think it's such a shame that they didn't bring that into the show, because I think it would be very interesting to see the two, even though they're basically exactly the same, even though they're the same family and everything like that, it'd be very interesting to see that even though Daenerys thinks that she is the last Targaryen, but she's not, and everything like that, and obviously then realising you've got someone else that she could rely on, and the two forces come together to defeat the Lannisters, which are very, very cool. Very much enjoy that. The next one is, from the TV show particularly, do you think in the future books that the relationship between Cersei and Jaime will become a lot more widely known, and like in the last series, and obviously the new series that's coming out of Game of Thrones, Cersei being pregnant with a baby that she and Jaime will proudly announce are theirs. Also, next thing, Tommen. I really, really hope Tommen doesn't die in the books. I really hope that, because I actually think Tommen is actually quite a nice character. I'm not gonna lie. When I read in the books when Joffrey dies, I had a party. It was an hour. I cracked open a couple of cans of beer and had a bit of a party. I thought, good, he deserves that. He well deserves that. Good on him. When he died in the show, me and a bunch of mates went out on the piss. No, we didn't. No, we celebrated. I'm not gonna lie, because it was a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful showing of that, and it was just superb. And the people that make that show and the actors, the guy who played Joffrey was just superb, and all respect to the bloke, because he made a character that was hated, so much hated in the books. He just made it so realistic and so out, just what what it would be like in real life for that character. So seriously, good on you. I'm giving you a bit of a clap. It's nothing happen on Actor Thomas. It really doesn't. So there. Why am I clapping? He ain't gonna watch this, is he? Come on. Look, I bet you any money, no one from the TV show, or even George R.R. Martin, now let's behave, he ain't gonna watch this, is he? Some geezer from England isn't gonna be watching any of this crap, is he? Come on, behave. Anyway. Now, next thing. What's the next thing? Oh yeah. Now, fair enough, look, I fully understand, obviously, in the books, from page 1 of A Game of Thrones, of the massive epic saga, which is A Song of Ice and Fire, yeah? It is very clear they are trying to say Jon Snow is not Ned Stark's, well, not trueborn, but natural. No. He's not really his illegitimate son. Okay? It's quite clear. And obviously, the whole thing about them saying it's definitely in the TV show, it's definitely saying it is Rhaegar and Lyanna's child. Fair enough. That's what it says in the TV show. And I've read a lot of people over the internet and all that sort of stuff saying, right, that has to now happen in the books. If it doesn't happen in the books, it is bollocks. It just shows that George R.R. Martin was too much of a wet blanket, he won't do it. Which I think is unfair, because it's not true at all, come on. But I really hope I really hope that isn't what I fully understand George R.R. Martin said to the creators of the TV show, this is like a brief outline of how I want these characters to go. You can, as long as you know that's what I want to do, you can go and do whatever you want to do with it. That's not a problem at all. So, if that's true, that's fine. But I really hope that, because I actually want Jon Snow to be Ned's. I do. I want him to be Ned Stark's son. I don't want him to be his nephew or anything like that. I want him to be his son. And that's what I want. Now, next thing. Lady Stoneheart. Lady Catelyn Stark was brilliant. And Michelle, the actress that played her, I can't remember her name, Michelle Fairley or whatever, is that something like that? Anyway, I'll put it down here. Anyway, she played that character so wonderful. Now, just imagine her coming back as Lady Stoneheart. That character in the books it's wonderful. It's an interesting character, because obviously she's repaying all of the bad deeds that she knows about against her family, and all the wrongdoings that she knows about. Yeah? Just imagine that being done on a TV show. I know you've got that a little bit with Arya being the faceless man and all that sort of stuff. And that's fair enough. But I just think Lady Stoneheart would have been superb if they did that on the TV show. Now, next thing. What's the next thing? Can you help me? No? Oh yeah. That's it. Yeah. Marcella. Why did Marcella have to die in the TV show? What was that all about? Explain that to me. Why did Princess Marcella have to die? Why did King Tommen have to die? Frankly, these two characters why did Rickon had to die? You know, the youngest of the Stark children. Who else? Yeah, it just seems a bit. Like you've killed off Stannis, Stannis' wife and Stannis' daughter. What? Like I can understand why they've killed off Stannis, because obviously his storyline in the TV show hits its pinnacle, and they don't see that they can carry that on. And fair enough, I understand that. But that character did not need to. Most of these characters, all the younger children that have been killed off, did not need to be killed off. It's simply down to the fact that they thought, right, these characters were important, but now they've suddenly become less important because we're now going to try and tell them a more condensed story. And that's basically what's going on. basically one thing I have noticed, and this is not nothing against anything, but to me, the TV show started off very much a massive collaboration of storytelling, and I'll stand by that. It's a massive collaboration of the storytelling. The last two, Series 6 and Series 7, and I'm sure Series 8 will be exactly the same, has slowly become more condensed, and it's now, you no longer have maybe all of these different stories being told. You're now having maybe one or two stories that are being told, and a number of other little tiny stories being dotted around, because you now have got one main storyline that's being told that's the most central point of this story, and all the rest of them have either basically just been peppered in to try and make the main story more interesting, instead of having what was originally happening, which was that little story there, 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 that were all interlinked, granted, but they're all telling a wider story. Now, to me, it's better to have multiple little stories coming together to tell one story than just one story that you're telling that one story, but then you have to throw in all these different characters that you've introduced over the show and over the series, and even when it's not necessary, you have to think, oh, you know what, we haven't heard from that person for a while. Let's just go over there and see what they're doing, and hope that they're doing something interesting. Or if they're not doing something interesting, let's make them do something interesting. But when it first started, to me, each character was equally as important, and each character had a reason to be involved in this story. You've now got two characters. Actually, no, sorry, you've got three characters, really. You've got Cersei, then you've got Jon, and then you've got Daenerys. And frankly, those three characters, all the characters that are basically around them, so you've got Daenerys, who's got all of her characters, you've got Jon, who's got all of his characters, you've got Cersei, who's got all of their characters, and then all of those little characters are basically sort of, by their grace, is being given a little bit of airtime. Even Jaime, it sounds really bad to say, but the last couple of episodes, or the last series or so, I actually felt as if Jaime was really only sort of involved because he was being given, because of what Cersei had, kind of told him to do. The one highlight of it, I really thought, was actually that was the scene between him and Lady Olenna. That, to me, was like the one standout thing that happened to Jaime in that whole series. All the rest of it is basically almost like Cersei didn't want to leave King's Landing, so she's just kind of like put a lead on him and said, right, go off and do that, and when everything gets a little bit too much, come back. But she was very much still controlling everything. That was the one time I felt as if Jaime held his own and was actually a major player. And I sort of hope, I know it's not going to happen, but I would sort of hope that maybe in this last series, potentially they could go back to the way things used to be in the first couple of series, or will they just carry on with what they're doing at the moment? Anyway, that's just a few of my little kind of things that I wanted to talk about. Obviously, I know in the next couple of years they're bringing in a couple of Game of Thrones prequels out, which I'm really looking forward to. That will, anything that kind of widens out the story, I think is always good. But the one thing I want to see, and the one thing that I think a lot of people want to see, just because it's something that we've heard so much about, and that is Robert's Rebellion. I would love to see, even in my head, I think the best way of doing that would actually be just simply a trilogy of films. Just imagine that, just one trilogy of 3 films. Literally, you've got, the start, just like, kind of like the first film, something like, a year before the rebellion, so you get to see the tourney of Harrenhal and the whole thing of Rhaegar giving Lyanna you know, kind of like crowning her the queen of love, whatever, beauty and all that malarkey. Then the second one, the starting of the rebellion, and then the third one, the ending of the rebellion, and the crowning of Robert Baratheon as king. I just think that would be superb. And you know, it's just something that's ever since I started watching the TV show and started reading the books, it's just something I could imagine being shown on screen. Would be and it would just be brilliant, because it would obviously make everything so much more interesting, so much more rich. That's just my opinion, anyway. But that's the end of the video. Before I go, one thing I have to let you guys know about. I won't be here next week. I'm off doing stuff next week, next weekend, so I won't be uploading a video. But I hope you guys have a wonderful 2 weeks. If you've liked this video and if you have any comments to make on this video, please leave a comment down below. If you'd like, you can be one of my subscribers. You can leave a like. If you'd like, you can even become one of my patrons. The link is down below. And as always, I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you have a wonderful week. Well, I hope you have a wonderful 2 weeks ahead. And I shall see you in 2 weeks' time. Goodbye. Goodbye.